Hello, thanks for joining us. James Preston with you on 𝐊𝐴𝐿 TV, live from our studios in Sydney, and this is the Stocks in Action show, where we take a glimpse at development across equity and commodity markets and the stocks that are making headlines today. Let's begin with the performance of the ASX 200. The Australian share market opened higher on the back of a green trading session on Wall Street, led by upbeat economic data. The S&P ASX 200 has gained 29.2 points or 0.4%, despite crossing below its 20-day moving average. IDP Education was the top performing stock, trading up by 17.49%, and Chalice Mining is also up by 5.87%. 10 of 11 sectors are higher, along with the S&P ASX 200 index. Energy is the best performing sector, while information technology is trading lowest. On that note, let us have a quick glance through some global developments and their effects on the global market. First up, equity markets worldwide had an intense session on Thursday, with investors brushing off concerns regarding a rapid surge in coronavirus cases. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 index started the second half of the year with a record high, as fewer than expected weekly jobless claims improved investors' confidence. It's also believed that the release of US payroll data on Friday could provide a further boost to investors' confidence. On Thursday, the Labor Department said initial claims for state unemployment benefits fell 51,000 to a seasonally adjusted 364,000 for the week ending the 26th of June. However, it is an unreliable guide to Friday's broader indicators. Moving on to the US market updates from the overnight happenings, and the Dow Jones rose 0.38%, while the S&P 500 gained 0.52%. The Nasdaq Composite was also up by 0.13%. On Thursday, the US Treasury yields notched a little higher as investors awaited the government's June 2021 jobs report for clues on how it might dictate Federal Reserve monetary policy. The benchmark 10-year yield was up by 3.1 basis points at 1.47% on Thursday. On Wednesday, the yields fell to their lowest level since the 21st of June 2021 at 1.438%, primarily due to quarter and month-end demand for treasuries. The US dollar hit a 3-month high on Thursday, but traded mainly within a tight range, as market participants didn't make heavy bets before Friday's US non-farm payrolls report. And now let's look at one of the most talked about spaces, crypto. The largest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, tumbled over 5% to US $33,289 on Thursday, while its peers Ether was down 7.3% and Dogecoin was down 3.85%. Moving on now to commodities, and on Thursday, gold edged higher as a more than 7% fall in June 2021 prompted some commodity traders to buy the yellow metal at a dip amid concerns over the Delta variant of the coronavirus. However, the rise was capped by a strong US dollar and caution over Friday's US payrolls data. Spot gold was up 0.2%, while the US gold futures closed Thursday's session 0.3% in positives. On Thursday, the global commodities market also witnessed Chinese steel futures notching higher for a 7th consecutive session on lingering concerns over supply prospects as China seeks to reduce output this year. Hot rolled coil and construction steel rebar contracts on the Shanghai Futures Exchange touched their highest level since June 15, 2021, helping the Dalian iron ore recover after tumbling for 2 days. Iron ore climbed 1.1% on the Dalian Commodity Exchange. On Thursday, copper tumbled as a stronger US dollar and weak manufacturing data from China hit investor sentiment, though buying from large funds offered some price support. Benchmark copper on the London Metal Exchange fell 0.6%, and lastly, crude oil prices jumped nearly 2% on Thursday on expectations that OPEC could increase the supply more slowly than expected in the coming months. September delivery crude oil futures traded 0.24% up, whereas August delivery WTI crude oil futures traded 0.09% down as of the 2nd of July 2021 at 10:28 Australian Eastern Standard Time. The crude oil prices jumped after the Organisation of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, collectively known as OPEC, delayed the ministerial meeting to Friday in order to have more discussion on oil output policy. The group was expected to increase the supply by 0.4 million barrels per day from August to December through in 2021. OPEC's demand forecast doesn't include the possibility of the potential Iranian supply and spread of a new coronavirus variant. So that's how the market is positioned as it stands, and after a very short break, the ASX is firmly in our sights right here on 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 TV. Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
sectoral coverage or industry news,
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
with 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 TV.
Welcome back. Great to have your company. James Preston with you live from 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐼𝐼 Studios in Sydney. And this is the Stocks in Action show on 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐼 TV. Let's now have a look at a few recent updates from ASX listed companies. And trading in green, the ASX listed oil and gas energy company Lion Energy has executed a memorandum of understanding with the Senstar Group to explore opportunities in testing and operating Senstar equipment for hydrogen filling stations across the country. This memorandum of understanding is part of the company's green hydrogen production strategy, which was announced on the 7th of May 2021. Senstar specialises in providing complete equipment solutions and management systems to gas stations. The group is looking to expand its sale of dispensers and ancillary hydrogen equipment across Australia. Moving on, and Opal Limited is trading in green following the announcement that its clinical trial patient recruitment platform, Open, has achieved several milestones, including securing the first in a series of planned global and local strategic alliances with clinical trial aggregators and gateways. The two-year Memorandum of Understanding with the Centre for Commercialisation of Regenerative Medicine of Australia provides Open with an approved supplier access to CCRM industry consortium companies and research organisations in the regenerative medicine industry more globally. CCRM Australia and the global CCRM network supports the development and commercialisation of regenerative medicine-based technologies as well as cell and also gene therapies. Moving on to the next piece of news, and we're taking a look at Novarti Group, the payment platform. Shares of Novarti Group are trading in red after it shared a presentation on capital raising and strategic acquisition. It reported a capital raise worth $45 million. Out of this, $40 million is being raised in two tranches from binding agreements. The remaining $5 million is planned by Novarti from share placements at 55 cents per share. The funds raised will be used by the company for acquiring software company providing cloud-based services, Reckon Limited, and for also funding its future growth. And now it's time for another very short break on 𝐊𝐼𝐼 TV, but I'll be back with you in just a moment for more trading updates from our Australian shares.
Property by 𝐊𝐼𝐼. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest slowdown in the property market, tune in on 𝐊𝐼𝐼 TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with 𝐊𝐼𝐼.
Welcome back. Great to have your company at 𝐊𝐼𝐼 TV. James Preston with you live from our studios in Sydney, and this is the Stocks in Action show. Let's now take a look at the ever-growing buy now, pay later space. Trading in red, Afterpay is set for its first weekly drop, shedding nearly 9%. Shares were down 1.2% at $117.60 in the early trade. Last month, the buy now, pay later firm enjoyed its best month since August, recovering ground from a global tech stock sell-off. This week, APT picked up a stake in Dubai-based Postpay, pumping in $10 million with its venture capital firm. The next news covers payment and reward solutions provider Cash Rewards Limited, which has jumped as much as 23.7% to $1.15, marking a record intraday percentage gain. The company partnered with Australia and New Zealand Bank to launch its cashback payment program, Cash Rewards Max, for up to 4.7 million ANZ debit and credit card holders. Cash Rewards Max will be launched in August with an initial term of 3 years. Post this news, stock hits its highest level since June 8. CRW seems to be on track for a second consecutive session of gains, though down 48.3% this year as of the last close. And to finish off, wagering startup Bluebet hit the ASX boards on Friday after raising $80 million, which it's allocated for a push into the US market. Founded in 2015, the company, which delivered $266 million in revenue last year, is anticipating a jump of nearly 50% to reach $390 million in the calendar year for 2021. The $80 million in proceeds from the IPO includes $44.7 million that will be used to boost a push into the US market. Bluebet said that the money would be invested in, quote, establishing the US business and acquiring initial licenses, end quote, with Bluebet targeting a 5 priority state for its initial market entry as a B2C wagering provider. Proceeds will also be used on marketing in Australia and improving its technology platform. Alright, well that's all for now, but please stay tuned to 𝐊𝐴𝐿 TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more news on markets, the economy and diverse themes and sectors shortly. And Sage will be with you for another expert talk exclusive to 𝐊𝐴𝐿 TV in just a moment. I'm James Preston for 𝐊𝐿 TV.